I have another question for you, if I can remember how it goes. So, what would you like to see pop culture and cosplay-wise in the future? What in your local area do you want?
Gosford's still very much rooted in the 1950s. And I'll give you an example. Many, many years ago, I was with another group and we were going to do a convention. We weren't even going to do a convention. Market like collector's stores. Yeah, it was sort of like Collectomania. And what we did was we found a hall, only a small hall. It wouldn't have been much bigger than this block we're sitting on now. And
we're in a rotunda in a park,
yeah,
so not very big.
No, not very big at all. And we were talking to the guy because it was across the road from the comic shop that we were organising it with. And the guy said, oh yeah, we don't rent it out much, so $60 for the day. Oh, hallelujah, because even back then, $60 was still a lot of money. I know it's a lunch nowadays, but anyway.
A dinner maybe, but
so
yeah.
We start preparing and we're getting people interested, we're talking about costumes. Then we get a phone call from a lady of the association that owned the hall. And she wanted to know what we were doing. And she said, oh, pop culture. Yeah, that's right, yeah. That's all those people who dress up and watch cartoons and things. Yeah. And she goes, oh, okay, we'll have to readjust the price. Okay. $600 for the day.
Holy Jesus.
And we said, what? Why? And she goes, rich nerds, they'll pay anything. So the point is just that in Gosford, they say money. And if you go into pop culture, you do it for the love of it, seriously. So in Gosford, I would like to see them at least reach the 1970s or 80s before we do anything there. Newcastle is great. They don't seem to give a shit.
I think the worst thing that's ever happened to me in Newcastle is someone confused me for AC/DC when I was clearly Kiss. And so obviously not a huge deal. But yeah, like I when I first started doing events, I had to, where are all the bad places in Newcastle and kind of work around like where are my cosplayers not going to get beaten up.
Yeah.
And we've never ever had that trouble in Newcastle. Like nothing even close to that.
Have had it in Gosford. There was one time we went out and did a promo at Avoca, and this nice young girl, nice young lady, she was dressed up in I won't say a sexy Santa costume, but you'll know what I mean. It's the short skirt with the white trim on it, like Santa's elf. And as she's walking back to her car, these... and you've got to imagine Avoca at Central Coast is supposed to be a really upmarket place.
Very hoity-toity.
Yeah, hello there. How are you? No, these guys have driven past and generally just shouted very bad things to the poor girl. She was all right, but we all apologise to her because it shouldn't happen. But it does happen, and that's what I'm saying. Gosford needs to come into the 70s or 80s before we can really do anything. We do have our own convention, and it's good, but you still get a lot of backlash from people in the area who only see money. These are the people who don't realise that you don't make your profit on the first sale. It's the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth sale. So if you screw someone over that first time,
then the money dries up.
Yeah.
Which
is, if you take yourself seriously, you're never going to enjoy cosplay, because cosplay is, or even pop culture, it's about exploring things and ideas that might not run across in your regular life. And to be fair, I know a lot of people who tell their workmates that they do it, and they're into certain things, and my attitude to there is pick and choose who you tell, because people will shit on you, but it's not as bad as it used to be.
No, I definitely agree with that, 100%.
I mean, like...
I tell everyone, because I just don't give a toss.
Well, I do now, but you got to remember, like...
What are they going to do, fire me for being a costumer?
But I lived out at Penrith, and back then in the 70s, 80s, Penrith was an
Roughly.
isolated place. It was country. But I'd get on a train and I'd go all the way into Sydney, and oh my God, there was the land beyond. Great place. It was a dark, dingy comic book shop with figures and everything at the end of a very long, dark, dingy hallway. And you could trip over drunks and homeless people. But then you'd go out and you walk around the corner and there's Comic Kingdom, 2 stories of absolute joy. And then of course there was Kings. Kings back then were really good. They were down in off St James Station.
Okay, so very close to Hyde Park then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah. And they were like downstairs, and it was funny because there was a walkway between the little area where Kings was and the railway station, and they painted it like swirls, like you were going through the TARDIS, like when the TARDIS goes through time. Brilliant stuff. But then they became. But we used to go down. This was again before. We used to go from Gosford. We'd go down, and we'd park the car at the entertainment centre, and we'd walk up to Wynyard, and we would stop at every comic shop or pop culture shop or record shop. It's just fantastic. You can't really do it now because they're far and few in between.
I don't even know where the local Newcastle one is now. That what was that one in Newcastle called? Graphic
Action.
Now that Graphic Action is gone, I don't think we even have a comic shop in Newcastle.
No, I don't think you do. And now just around the corner was a good shop called Heroes and More. They're great people, but for various reasons they've closed down. They're going back to doing markets and things, which is good.
Yeah, they still get an income, and I think the majority of the reason they decided to shut down was COVID, so it's a bit of a shame. Another business fall into, I don't even know what to call it at this point. Stupidity, yeah.
Ignorance. Okay, so what happened was we ran out of film on the camera. I don't know why. So I'm doing the outro now. Thank you for joining us. I don't know when this will be up, but it'll be up soon enough. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining us.
As you can see, my hair is fucked.
My hair's just long.
Unfortunately, we've had some camera difficulties and we've had to swap to the handheld. That's why it's a little bit shaky. I mean, it was shaky before because of the wind anyway.
Yeah, the wind was starting to blow it away.
But that's pretty much a very brief history of how Mercury came to be, and how you can get into cosplay and.
Okay.
Before we go.
I
do have one more question for you.
Yes.
Are you going to put me in the shot?
Well, you are.
That. So let's talk about the name Mercury Cosplay Theatre, because you actually helped me with that.
Yes, I did.
So obviously Mercury started from
Freddie Mercury,
my main character, and I thought, if I'm going to do a group, may as well incorporate Queen somehow into it. But
the rest? The rest. I thought, okay, we're doing cosplay, so it's going to be Mercury cosplay. But, and this is only something I remembered the other week, is that this was around Halloween that we actually came up with the name. Now, a lot of people will know this story, but in the late 30s, there was a man called Orson Welles who had a radio company called Mercury Theatre on the Air. And what he did was he did a radio version of War of the Worlds, which scared the crap out of America. And I thought, well, okay, we can be the Mercury Cosplay Theatre. And it also works in the way that cosplay is a kind of theatre. We don't put on shows or anything, we are the show,
Yeah, it's kind of like life is the stage.
Yeah.
I think it was it Shakespeare that said that?
Oh, well, yes.
If Shakespeare said anything that he ever said.
Yeah. Shakespeare said a lot, none of it intelligible. Do not speaketh with thous and these.
I mean, the guy did come up with half of our language. Like, half half of our language. It's ridiculous. If you look up words that Shakespeare came up with, it's something incredible, like over 500 words.
Some of them are very rude words.
And a lot of it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for everyone who came along, and thank you for everyone who's watching.
In the next episode, we'll hopefully be inside, so we don't have all the wind and stuff like that, and we'll be interviewing someone completely different to us.
I can't guarantee.
Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
Yes. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Josh.
No, hey,
And
no.
Sitting on a park bench.
We are. Anyway, this time for sure, Abyssinia.